Hey there, my name is Pravus and welcome to more Hearts of Iron 4. We're going for an achievement run today, because it's been a little while since we played a Paradox game. I've kind of got the itch right now, and I really would like a bit of a challenge. So let's play with some HoI4. Now, what is a difficult, challenging achievement that we could go for that I've always wanted to do? Something that's going to push me a little bit to my limits in terms of skill and also maybe sanity. And the answer is fairly obvious. We're going to be playing as Kingdom of Hungary and going for Miklos Horthy and the Habsburg Prince achievement. This requires that we start off as Hungary and then reunite as Austria-Hungary and then restore the old empire to some of its former glory, including taking a lot of territory that is held by the Axis and the Allies. We're going to be against a lot of people in the world, and the intro to this scenario is kind of difficult. There's, let's say a fair bit of RNG involved in this achievement, which means a lot of people hate this achievement for reasons I think are completely justified. But you can mitigate that to some degree with some cheeky strategy, and I'll show you what I mean in just a little bit. This will, of course, be in Iron Man mode because I'm going for the achievement, and historical AI focuses will be on. I do think it's a little bit weird that you start off as Hungary for this achievement. Wouldn't it make more sense to start as Austria? Wouldn't they want to get a Habsburg Prince? Apparently not, though. We're starting as Hungary. Alright, so the goal in the short term is pretty straightforward, but a little bit difficult to execute. We need to get Austria united with our kingdom, right? And that means we need to get a Habsburg Prince, so we have a claim to the throne, and they willingly join. Then we need to get Czechoslovakia on our side, and this is perhaps the hardest part of the entire achievement in terms of RNG, because it does require a little bit of finagling around with Germany, because obviously if they demand things like the Sudetenland from you, you're gonna have a bad time. We also ideally want to unite with Yugoslavia and Romania to get a whole bunch of territory that will become cores. Once we have all of this under my control, then finally I'll become a world power to be reckoned with, and we'll need to take down the Allies and then eventually the Axis. Because we need some land that is in eastern France, Franche-Comté, there we go. We need to take some territory that is held by northern Italy. I think we need to take some territory from Germany, I might be wrong on that. Need to take some territory down here in Palestine. Yeah, there's a lot that we need to do. We're gonna be going up against the entire world at some point, but I'll show you some ways we can get around this, because this achievement has frustrated so many people that they have researched it rather exhaustively online in places like Reddit, and I've done a bit of research, some of which I think was probably inspired by YouTubers like, let's say, Bittersteel or Big Feedback Gaming, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Let's see if it works. So let's go for the balanced budget as our first focus. The extra political power, of course, is gonna be nice, and this is gonna let us start rushing down toward inviting a Habsburg Prince on the throne, at which point we could also demand a referendum with Austria. We're not gonna do that immediately, because it turns out if you go for the reintegrate the railroads focus, it doesn't show you this, but this apparently gives you a higher percentage chance of Austria accepting peacefully integrating into your nation with the referendum, so it's often worth going for this. We also need to go for things like secret rearmament at some point to try and unlock partial mobilization, because until we do, we're gonna have a pretty crap military economy. That's obviously no fun. For our research, let's go for our standard opening lineup of our electrical engineering, plus we want to go for the construction and the production technology. Let's go ahead and toss all of our army under one guy. I guess you'll do fine. Let's go ahead and let them start training until they at least get up to... actually, do I even want to do this? They're already starting off as regulars. Maybe I don't care about that too much. We could get some army XP, but let's just hold off on that for the moment. I need to get some civilian factories. I can only build 4. It's not a lot. It's kind of atrocious. Let's get some more infantry equipment. Let's go for artillery, and I want to get some CAS as well, because surprisingly, we start with CAS. And also, if you take a look at the resources, Hungary starts with a shocking amount of aluminum. So we're not going to have any trouble, really, building up a decent air force aside from getting the rubber. The aluminum exists. That means that an air force is a natural thing for us to be building, and we definitely will be doing so. Now, here's where we have a little bit of something cheeky, all right? So I mentioned that we're going to be able to get Austria, and there's a couple things you can do between the integrating the railroads, improving opinion and stuff, and get the referendum. The trick is with Czechoslovakia, because Czechoslovakia almost always will say no to a peaceful integration, right? You can eventually demand that from them, but they will almost always say no to your protection. There is an exception to this. If Germany is actively justifying to take the Sudetenland, or they've already taken the Sudetenland, the odds of them saying yes goes up by a lot. Like, they'll almost always say yes. Not guaranteed, but almost always. So a cheeky thing you can do, and I learned this through Reddit, but I think they stole this idea from maybe Bittersteel. You can spy on Germany, and this is smart actually, spy on Germany, find out what focuses they're doing, and then deliberately time your focuses so just before Hitler demands the Sudetenland, you swoop in, protect Czechoslovakia, and annex them before Germany can do a dang thing. That's the trick. We're gonna see if it works. I have no idea. Now, that does mean you need to go for a spy network. So that means we need to create an agency very early on, which kind of sucks because it means that like all of my civilian factories, and I mean all of them, have been taken up making this work. But we had exactly 5, the exact correct amount. We need to get ourselves a spy and start building up that spy network. So that is gonna be priority number 1 while we start working down the focus tree toward the inviting of the Habsburg Prince. I'm gonna try training up the units just a little bit, maybe farm out like 5-10 army experience, just so I have some flexibility if I need to change something. One problem you're gonna find with Hungary is we have no manpower, like basically nothing to speak of. We are not gonna have very powerful units, and it would be tempting to go ahead and start dismantling some of them, but we don't need to do that right now. We'll get manpower eventually, just not for a while. And the problem is we are a disarmed nation because we have the Treaty of Trianon, which reduces my recruitable population by 0.5%, and we have to be a disarmed nation. We are not allowed to change this, even if we had enough political power. So until we get rid of this, we're gonna have no military really to speak of. Let's go ahead and pick probably the suicide pills to start. Then I want to get things like the invisible ink and the economy and civilian. Reason for that is, if I remember correctly, you have to have the civilian administration for your spy network in order to get above 70%. That's the ultimate goal. Get above 70% civilian intel on the Germans, and we'll be able to find out what they're doing for their national focuses, and that's going to inform pretty much all of my decisions in terms of the Sudetenland. That determines the timing. So that's what you have to do. If you can't get up to 70%, it means you're missing something. You either need more of a spy network, or you need to infiltrate the civilian administration, or you need to get yourself the spy upgrade here for the civilian economy sector. That's fine. All of those together should be enough. There's a balanced budget. We have our first spy, who is a seducer. We're placing them in Brandenburg, and we're going to start researching the invisible ink as well, just so we'll have a little bit more intelligence gained from operations and so on. Blah, blah, blah. That, I think, works well for the whole civilian administration infiltration thing. Anyway, all right, so we have the balanced budget. That gets me a fair bit of political power. Let's go for strengthening of the monarchists, which is going to get me some daily support for non-aligned. That suits me very well, since I am, of course, a fantastic monarchist. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the silent workhorse because it always makes sense to go for a political power gain modifier early. The more political power gain we get, the more I can modify my government. And that's going to be helpful because at some point we need to go for that partial mobilization. The sooner I can do this, probably, the better. That's the invisible ink taken care of. Let's go ahead and pick up economy and civilian. And I don't think we need to do much else besides that. Though if we wanted to get ourselves a second spy, that would just build up the spy network a lot faster. So we could commit to just getting more upgrades. It's not a bad plan. Could also go for, I think we have, yeah, we do have an elusive gentleman. That could work too. I don't know. I feel like 3 spies might be excessive, but if I feel like I'm wrong on that, we could just go ahead and pick that up, get myself an extra spy. It's never a bad idea to have 3 spies as a general rule anyway. It makes it a lot easier to get things like collaboration governments. And I do want to get those on the UK and on France, if at all possible, just because, you know, lower capitulation limits and stuff like that means we'll be able to beat these guys down faster, ideally before the US joins the Allies, because, well, that would suck for a lot of obvious reasons. It really does not, you don't want to fight the US. Come on, we're playing as Austria-Hungary. I don't have a single port. I'm not going to be able to get over there and actually deal with the US, and Germany tends to suck at crossing the Atlantic. It's just not going to happen, so we really need to beat the Allies quickly. Let's go for, Gimli, would you please stop? Hey. Apparently not. Let's go for elect a king. That boosts my stability, which is all in the ways a nice thing. Also going to pick up the dispersed industry. Feel like that works pretty nicely. We could go for some more political power. What I like to get, we could go for an army experience guy kind of early on. Can't do the civilian economy, can't do anything here. Could save our stuff. Could also just go ahead and pick up that elusive gentleman. I just don't think I need this, but I'm gonna want him eventually, right? I think I'd rather just go ahead and, you know what I also could do? You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and bet free trade. Free trade. Let's go ahead and pick that one up. Just go for the extra construction speed and research speed. Any little modifiers I can get that are going to help me, probably worth it. Free trade tends to suck in the late game, but in the early game, when you have no economy to begin with, it's not so bad. Not to mention, we got all the aluminum to trade. We might as well. And now we just sort of sit back here and do pretty much absolutely nothing. Because the early game is really fun when you're a tiny minor nation and there's not much to do. Oh, I remember when I could just waffle on, you know, just talk nonstop and never do jump cuts. It made my life a heck of a lot easier, but, you know, these days, meh. Let's see. We could go ahead and start researching some more frames, the airframes and stuff here, get some cast weaponry, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't be bad. There is, I think, another achievement if you can get a battleship built up as Hungary, then this becomes helpful at some point. You get an achievement for that, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Could go for the Toda anti-air a little bit early. Could go ahead and start working on, not medium tanks yet. Do need to get the engineer companies. We don't have trucks. Let's go ahead and research trucks. That's going to be an absolute necessity. That's the Army department. Let's go ahead and get the Air Force department, and then we just stop with the spy upgrades. That means we're going to get our second spy. Then I definitely will be able to get above the 100 spy network that I need. I honestly think the one person might be enough. Could be wrong. There's the Spanish Civil War. Yes, because it's already July of 1936. Really didn't take long to get there, did it? Our field marshal sucks, by the way. Don't have a lot of hopes for that person. His stats are just truly atrocious. Good news, once we get Austria, we should be able to get a slightly better leader. If Austria joins you peaceably, you get all of their troops, all their equipment, you get their leaders, etc. It's always worth going for that, if and you can. So let's go ahead and invite the Habsburg Prince. This boosts up my political power once again, and the generate war goal tension limit goes down, which means in theory, we'll be able to actually, justify without getting a lot of people angry. Now that said, I'm pretty sure one of the prerequisites to get Czechoslovakia to agree to peaceful annexation is world tension has to be above 20%. I think that's a rule I read on the wiki, pretty sure. So technically that could work against us, but if we have to, worst come to worst, we just justify on Greece, Romania, Yugoslavia, and that should be enough to boost up world tension. It just costs a lot of political power. Question, all right, so I've got enough political power. We could go ahead and get, let's say, the elusive gentleman. I could go for an army advisor, not a bad plan, to be honest. And I could go for secret rearmament and go for partial mobilization. For that, I need 150 political power. I've got that right now. Got 165. It's going to take 70 days for that. I'm currently gaining 1.45 per day. That's going to go up once I have a prince. I think I can afford to go for a military advisor. Like the... Yeah, 0.3 daily seems pretty darn solid. I don't think I could say no to that. Let's go ahead and pick up the army offense guy and start enjoying the passive army experience. And I think by the time, definitely by the time that I am done with secret rearmament, we should have enough to jump directly to partial mobilization. And I want to do that early just because it's going to help my economy. You could argue, and you wouldn't necessarily be wrong on this, now I'm second guessing myself, you could argue that going for reintegrate the railroads first, getting Austria first, translates into more factories faster than if you change your laws. You could make that argument, and I don't think you would be wrong. But I'm going to go for the partial mobilization anyway. I just want to get it, all right? It just goes against everything that I stand for. To not go for partial mobilization early, all right? You got to get those economy laws, right? Probably, maybe, I don't know. Actually, getting a third spy, now that I think about it, wouldn't be a bad idea, just so I would be able to infiltrate that civilian administration a little bit sooner. Maybe I should spend the political power on that or something, I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and pick up secret rearmaments. I think I've got time. I think it's going to be fine. We should be able to get an elusive gentleman if I need to get an extra spy. But worst come to worst, what we can do now is just go ahead and start the infiltration. The thing is, the second I start doing this, our spy network is going to go down. It's going to take 90 days. Are we going to be able to build this back up in time? I think the answer is yes. So let's go ahead and commence when ready. Get this going. I could have done this a lot sooner, and I should have as soon as I had the second spy. But it didn't take that long to get up to 100% spy network. How are we doing as far as the intel? We're at 68%. This is why you have to go for the infiltration of the civilian administration. So yeah, we're 2% below and can't get any higher. We have to get that. Once you're above 70%, we get to know what the focus is. We get some dispersed industry, we get some mechanical computing, we can go ahead and start picking up some extra construction tech and improved machine tools. Never really a bad idea to go a little bit ahead of time if you can. It's like 0.1 years off, like who cares? It's important to scale up your economy, okay? I still think that's a good idea. I do plan on getting tanks and stuff, and I really should research some upgrades to planes and stuff at some point, but I think we'll just have to live with it at the moment. As far as planes are concerned, yeah, we've got transports and we've got the interwar close air support airframe. It's only capable of doing CAS. We don't have any fighters. I'd have to actually research a fighter in order to do that. Good news is, if I'm fighting against minors like Yugoslavia and Romania and stuff, I don't think I need fighters. We'll be okay without them. So that's the thing I'll come back to. Anyway, secret rearmament is done. Let's go for the industrial revitalization. Let's pick up the partial mobilization. And then as soon as I have the political power I need, another 150, I'll go ahead and just get that elusive gentleman, just so we'll be able to do this and not have to worry about this again. Though I think we're going to be okay. Right now we've got... Oh, well, yep, there goes the network. The network's completely gone. It's gone! And this is why you want to have 3 spies. 1 person maintains a network and 2 do missions. 3 is a magic number. We'll research the engineering companies. I don't have those, but those are always a good thing to get. I like that. And then we just wait for this to be done, which shouldn't take long. How much political power am I getting? 1.85 per day. Turns out the Habsburgs are fairly connected folks. Who would have guessed? By the way, we can modify the officer corps and get the professional corps just so I gain more army experience, and also doctrines are cheaper. I'll go ahead and do that as soon as I'm able to. I can't remember if that makes a big difference. Yeah, it does increase your daily gain by 0.01. Technically, the sooner you get it, the sooner it pays for itself, right? Which will take a while, but you get the idea. We might as well pick that one up. And we go for the revitalization, then we're gonna go for reintegrate the railroads, and with the railroads, we can demand a referendum, and Austria should almost certainly love me. Now, it does help if you improve relations with Austria. They're more likely to say yes. I think Czechoslovakia is more likely as well. Always the political power and try just to be safe. Whoop, extra operative, safe cracker, or a well-groomed person. None of those are great, but I guess I'll take the safe cracker. There we go. All right, and we'll just, with 3 people, we'll start building up this spy network like super fast now. Anyway, is it faster to spread them out? I don't think it is. Is it? Maybe it is. I never actually tested that before. But anyway, all right, so that's all looking good. Oh, cool. So we actually do have the anarchists spawning in Spain. All right, that's gonna be fun. I do wanna get a chief of air force just so we can start getting the air experience. That's gonna make it a lot easier for me to get my fighters and stuff when needed. So the sooner I start generating some passive XP, the better. And then I think I'm just gonna hold on to my political power. Not just for improving relations, but like at some point we're gonna want conscription laws and stuff anyway. I guess we could get an industrial concern guy, that wouldn't be bad. Okay, that might still be worth it, but I still think going for some air experience makes a whole lot of sense. We do have a research bonus. I can go for dispersed industry early, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Technically could go ahead of time for 1939 tech, but that's gonna tie up a valuable research slot for so long, I guess I'd rather just get this going a little bit faster. How are we doing in terms of logistics? Not great. We have no fighters. We are slowly building up our close air support. We do at least have some infantry equipment and stuff. I mean, that's something. That counts for a little bit. How are we doing on the spy network here now? Above 70%. And now we see what's going on. We know exactly what the Germans are up to. So when are they going to do the whole like Sudetenland thing? Where did that go? I haven't played Germany in so long. I don't even remember how their focus tree ends up anymore. There's Anschluss. They're not there yet. And then, yeah, there's Demen, Sudetenland. Obviously, we want to get Austria before this happens, so don't dilly-dally forever. But they need to have 500,000 manpower, and they're not there yet. And we got plenty of time. We should definitely be able to get the referendum in time. We're okay. Let's go ahead and get the radio and stuff. I mean, it's always good to have stuff like that. I do want to get some towed anti-air. I do want to get some support weapons and stuff, but we've got time. Now, you could try to take Austria by force and just go to war, and you get the war goal, and it's all fine. But I really want to take other units for free. Boosting up my manpower as far as just having a bunch of trained units already ready to go, always a good idea. I do have a little bit more political power. Do I want to just go ahead and get the industrial concern? It's not a bad idea. I don't know. I mean, how are we doing on construction? We're still got a long ways to go on some stuff. All right, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and pick up an industrial concern guy, and I'll pick up... Let's go ahead and go for actual industrial concern and just boost up the rest of the factory-related technologies. I think that's gonna be fine. But then I'm gonna save my political power, but I'm just gonna save it right up, all right? We're not looking to spend a lot of it. I wanna do conscription law. And we've really gotta get rid of this whole disarmed nation thing. I'm pretty sure the only way that we're going to be able to do this is if I am at war. I think that's what gets rid of the Treaty of Trianon, I think. Might be wrong on that. I only did a little bit of play testing leading into this, so I might make a few mistakes, and I apologize if that does happen. So, demanding a referendum. This is the first of the RNG events. Referendum is done. Thank you. Okay. So, we want to do restoration of Austria-Hungary, and to do this, I'm pretty sure I need to control all of Austria. So this is the moment of truth. Let's see what they decide. They succeed! Yay! We join them together. I annex all their territory. Now I want to turn them into cores. So let's go ahead and get restoration of Austria-Hungary. This is going to change our current tag from Kingdom of Hungary to Austria-Hungary. Now, I personally think that we should call it Hungary-Austria from here on. But no one takes me seriously when I say that. This does mean I have some extra factories to work with. More artillery wouldn't be a bad idea. We could go for more CAS. Did we finish researching the trucks? We did. Let's go ahead and start building some of those, actually. I need to make sure we have some of that. We'll get artillery, make that a top priority, follow that by a couple more factories in some infantry equipment, then support, then CAS. And that's going to have to be good enough for the moment. Yep, there we go. All right, so at this point, we just kind of screwed over Germany in a big way. Anschluss just gets straight out, just bypassed. They still want to get the Sudetenland, but in order to do that, they need 725 fielded manpower, and they ain't got that right now. By the way, let's go ahead and take one of our spies, set this to a quiet intel network, and the others don't need to be here anymore. We can just go ahead and do something else. We could spy on Yugoslavia, we could spy on Romania, or I could just go ahead and go to places like, let's say, the UK and try to get myself a collaboration government on the off chance it works. It even might. Even one or two of those will just make it a little bit easier to conquer them, but this means I'm almost certainly not going to be getting detected by Germany, so we just maintain 100%, keep it there for a good long while. Could technically even go for a collaboration government with the Germans, but the Allies are the more immediate threat, so nah, we'll just ignore that. One fun thing that actually comes out of Austria, by the way, is we actually do get a 9 infantry plus the engineers and the cavalry recon attached over here, which is technically better than the infantry I've got right now. So they actually gave me a decent template. All I gotta do is toss some artillery onto this thing, and we're gonna be going straight to the races. That ain't so bad. Ugh, the gosh dang Austrians are sabotaging my factories. How dare you! Well, I appreciate it. Tell you what, if I give us a bit of a rebranding, a name change, is that going to be enough to solve it? Thank you. Restoration of Austria-Hungary, and now we are the oh-so-beautiful white color that we are all accustomed to. Nice. All right. And with that, we've got all the stuff that I was looking for. We got ourselves some beautiful cores. Everything's looking great. At this point, we could now protect Czechoslovakia and demand that they get annexed into our nation. They will almost always say no, at which point we go to war, which would suck. Or now we start babying the Germans to see exactly what they do. I want to watch this every time to see what focus they're going to pick up. If it's not demand the Sudetenland, then we need to stop. But I really need to time this correctly. If I get through, like, let's say, I don't know, partway through a 70-day national focus, and they're doing a 35-day one, and I'm not paying attention, they pick up demand Sudetenland, and I'm partway through something and I wasn't paying attention to it, then we're going to miss our window. Now, I will say, even if Germany does take the Sudetenland, it's not the end of the world. We'll be able to get the rest of Bohemia, but ideally we take all of it, and this is going to be a cheeky little maneuver. So let's go ahead and pick something else up. War games? Don't need that. Theoretical air efforts, blah, 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 blah. We could demand the right to rearm and get rid of the Treaty of Trianon, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and start working on just getting, like, some free civilian factories and stuff. I mean, this is never really a bad plan. Seems like a good thing to do. 200 political power, and we're not gonna go to war for a bit. Maybe it'd be worth picking up something like an infantry equipment designer company. Yeah, we can do that. At some point, I probably do want to be able to start building military factories faster, so a war industrialist would make sense, but for now, we got time. And again, if there's anything the Habsburgs are good at, it's getting a decent amount of political power kind of early, so I can afford to go ahead and get the research bonuses, so I can speed up everything else as far as support weapons. And then we'll just circle right back around to the war industrialists, and it should still time out pretty nicely. I'm trying to think what's going to give me the biggest advantage when I do go fighting against the Romanians and the Yugoslavians. Better artillery will always be good. It would probably be worth upgrading a small airframe if we can get the military factories to start doing that. We've got the experience, we can get better casts, and we can start getting some fighters. So that wouldn't be a bad plan. That would give me a very big advantage against both of these nations. They never are going to have anything to work with there. All right, we actually have enough civilians. I can start working on military factories. Let's go ahead and start doing that in Hungary first, then follow that up in Austria. Pretty much nothing but military factories, at least for a bit, I think is going to be the way to go. Let's go ahead and start working on a better upgraded airframe, and we'll design ourselves some new planes when the time comes. We can go for some doctrines if I want to. Not a bad plan. I think what I'm going to do is go to this infantry and just go ahead and toss on the artillery before I forget, because going for 21 combat width is always good. I do like to then break this up and go ahead and toss on more artillery and get myself up to 27 combat width, but not everyone agrees with me that that's actually a good template. This, at least, is a decent bread and butter option. Never a bad idea to have a little bit more soft attack on some defensive units if you can. Let's go ahead and research things like the light machine gun, just so I will be able to get some upgrades for my fighters and actually be able to do some fighting if we want to. Do we have anything that's going to boost up my cast? I don't think so. Might be worth getting an upgrade to things like engines. A lot of people like the extra fuel tanks. I did do a competition that Feedback Gaming was putting together a while back, and I'll go ahead and pick up superior firepower at this point. I did do a competition that Feedback Gaming was putting together as far as testing some dogfighting fighters, and I am getting, I think, 3rd place on that one, or maybe I tied for 3rd place. It was something along those lines. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get fighters to properly dogfight each other. It was quite a lot of number crunching and testing, but it worked. Hey, let's go ahead and pick up that research slot. Now let's go back to Germany. Let's see what they're up to. If they're doing Demand Sudetenland, they're not. All right, we're fine. If they were, I'd immediately cancel this, wait until I get like 10 days or something like that, and then pick that up. Wait a minute, that would even work? No, I don't think it would. They're doing a 70-day thing, I think. Let's just double check this. Hang on, because the timing is important. I need to make sure that when Germany picks up the Demand the Sudetenland, that I've got 10 days banked so that I can steal it from them. I'll get a 60-day focus when they do 70. That guarantees that I'm going to be okay. But they're doing, I think, a 70-day thing right now, right? Synthetic rubber? Let's just see if we can figure that out. 70 days, yeah. Do they have enough troops for Sudetenland? They don't. I think I got a little more time. But the next time that they go for a 70-day thing, I need to find something that's 35 days. Or, if it's not that, then I need to do I just need to not do a focus. That's stupid. Okay, this is getting a little gamey. I'm not gonna lie. The more I'm thinking this, because I read this all on Reddit, I'm pretty sure they stole it from another YouTuber. Don't remember who for sure. But it said specifically you'll need to make sure you do that. And now that I'm thinking about it, I've got nothing but 70-day focuses, and so do they. So this could become a problem very quickly. Well, let's keep an eye on this. If we know they get up to the 725,000 manpower, I think we cancel whatever focus I'm doing, and then just sit there and wait to see what Germany does. I think we have to do that. Oh, this is really walking a fine line. If I mess this up, it's gonna feel real bad, man. Feel real bad. Anyway, let's go ahead and get that war industrialist. I think that's still going to be the way to go. We're working on military factories, so like that's the primary advisor that makes sense. We're not going to be building any more civilians for a little while. Now, a fun thing that's going to end up happening at some point, once we go for Czechoslovakia, we will also be able to demand some territory away from Romania, Transylvania. And I'm pretty sure at that point, yep, there it is, reintegrate the Austro-Hungarian Empire. If we can take down Yugoslavia, right, eat all of them, Romania, eat all of them. We click this button, I get cores on like all of it. When that happens, oh, all of a sudden we got all the factories, we got all the manpower, and I can really start to ramp up. And on top of that, we've made Germany nice and weak because they don't get a whole bunch of land. So they have to go and take on Poland and stuff and then try to take down France, and they'll have my help for sure. But when the time comes to betray them, it ain't gonna be that hard. See, this is the great thing. I get to get stronger, I weaken my potential enemy in the future, so that I'm in a position to control the tempo of the game. This is the kind of stuff that I like in HoI4. I know it's dumb, it's gamey, it's playing the non-aligned game in like all the wrong ways, and by the wrong, I mean the most glorious ways, but I just love playing it in such a way to ruin all of history and then betray people at the right moment. What can I say? I like betraying my allies. It's fun. Anyway, I think this is gonna be a good place for us to end this video. So step 1 complete, then comes Czechoslovakia. As long as we don't mess this part up, we're gonna be fine. And I'll just keep an eye on this number to make sure nothing sneaky happens. But we'll get this one way or another. I'm gonna use that trick. We're gonna try to take the Sudetenland as well. Again, if we fail, not a big deal. It's just one more thing I'll have to take from Germany later on. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you're looking forward to this series as Austria-Hungary going for the achievement, one of the hardest achievements in the game. If you did enjoy, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.